Hello! Welcome back. Here is, what is this called? I got to update the little right now next thing, but we're doing Backlog Memories.
Backlog memories.
Yeah.
Backlog memories.
Oh, keep doing that for a minute. I need to,
Backlog memories.
there we go. All right. Yeah. I was just,
Tales of Archonia.
do some audio stuff. Wow. That's good, man. Hey, do we have copyright for that?
Sure, you have at it. You just say plug in my MIDI keyboard and be like.
All right.
my
Well,
my friend Al and I are supposed to be collaborating on a project that I hope to get done sometime soon. Just waiting for her. Anyway. Hello.
we got a little bit more space this time. Hey.
Squeeze on in. Yeah, you could push me over.
That's true.
Squeeze me into a smaller space, you know.
Alan and I are going to talk about this later on for Friday night, for the Friday night show. Why don't you get us started about backlog memories? What are some of your best backlog memories? What's up, Dean, in the chat?
Oh my gosh. I have been trying to think of things over the last several days, knowing that this was coming, and some of the things that stand out to me, and I'll just confess right up front, there's a lot of times when we finish the game, it's almost like my brain dissociates from the whole activity. Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
But then those memories do come back over the course of days. But my first session I ran on Tales from the Backlog when we were playing Scum and Villainy, um, I struggled just getting the rules down, and I was so excited because oh, I love this rule set. This is going to be awesome. And I spent time writing it all up. And there were a couple things that really stand out to me in that game. Was we had gone into the nightclub, and there was a moment where one of the big bike hover bike gangs was like, "Hey, Pipsqueak," and somebody stepped in, and there was this weird exchange of dialogue, and you guys kind of sort of ticked the biker gang off, and then you guys got your mission from your contact there, and you left. And I'm like, well, the public transit train's just down the road a little bit. It's a short walk. But as you're leaving the facility, you see some fancy hover bikes and dangling the bait again. And you guys took it, and you all stole those hover bikes and took off. And the repercussions of that later. And your character had I forget, a robotic teddy bear or something. I forget what specifically it was.
I
That
barely
helped
remember. I remember the nightclub, but I barely remember much about that game, except the
you.
the layout looked great.
Oh, it was awesome. You had some sort of toy, it was shaped like a toy that allowed you to, because everything in that world is tied into the net, and you guys were caught in an alleyway with somebody pointing a bright spotlight, and you couldn't see anything
Yeah.
because it was so glaring, and you were like, could I hack into the light and overload it? And of course, you rolled sufficiently and overloaded the light, and it blew up and took out half of the bad guys.
Oh yeah.
While Jason had slipped away with his adaptive camo overcoat and was sneaking up behind him, and you just cleaned the floor with those guys. Um,
Yeah.
in the same session, you guys had gotten the information from the warehouse and were on your way back to your spaceship, and that's when the hoverbike gang caught back up to you because they had tracking devices on the bikes. And you were flying, you called ahead. The pilot's like, all right, they lifted. Kenny was playing the pilot. He lifted off of the ship and was flying away because you guys, a couple of you zipped way ahead to get to the ship, because he was a pilot. He could do it expertly. He's flying down the streets at level, and we're all trying to catch up. You guys are trying to catch up on the bikes, and the biker gangs are shooting at you, and you get on board. Lisa gets on board. Jason's bringing up the rear, and he goes to do the athletic, just pilot right on board, and giving you guys all those hover bikes, but his bike gets shot out from under him, and he does.
Sorry.
He does he goes to roll his check, and in classic and Jason, please forgive me, classic Jason fashion, he dropped the dice and he just does that. and and he had failed his roll, so he went to leap and he was just going to fall short. And Lisa, as a psionic with telekinetic abilities, is like, bloop, plucked him out of the air and just pulled him onto the ship, and you guys made your escape. That again, the first session I ran, and some really funny, exciting stuff happened.
And I'm sorry, I want to ask, what system was this again?
Scum and Villainy, which is based on the Blades in the Dark mechanics with like countdown clocks and the ability to like plan ahead, but not having to go through all the role play stuff for it. And,
I want to add a really good memory of mine, which I don't think these were officially backlogs yet, but when we did a Mothership. That was a great, because I think that was my first time DMing for you.
No, you'd done Cyberpunk before that.
Oh, Cyberpunk was before that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, these are both really good memories. The Cyberpunk one was our first time doing Cyberpunk, and I had gotten the Kickstart kit, and we did the basement, the apartment scenario, and that's where Steve got his character. That's when Sunny first appeared.
Sunshine.
Yeah. So. Yes, Sunshine, and that's when the Ratberg first appeared. So many origin stories happened in that one shot.
And we ended up doing something like 20 episodes in that city.
Yeah.
And different adventures, different stories, but the same characters. Yeah.
And but that first episode was so great because I know Matt wasn't there for the first one. I feel like
Matt was not. The first one was me, Sarah, and Carolyn.
Yeah.
And then Carolyn never wanted to play Cyberpunk again. But she's not really into trying out different systems like the rest of us are. She wanted D&D. She played D&D.
But then
she moved to Arizona.
But then the next one that Matt joined in on, he fell in love with the whole Cyberpunk theme, and I think he ran Cyberpunk a couple times. And then he moved over to What's Without Number, and that's where he's staying now.
Cities Without Number, yeah.
Sorry, Cities Without Number.
Yeah, and I know we talked a lot of shit about Cyberpunk yesterday, but I would still love to play it. I like looking at that. Not every time, obviously. I like simple systems too, like EZD6, but other times I do like looking at that big sheet full of skills, and like it's just there's something cool to me about heavier systems. Although if we did run Cyberpunk Red again, I would want to hack the hacking because it's bad.
Yeah, the mechanics of the game are pretty solid, and the sheets are easy enough to follow and do your checks and stuff. But yeah, like you're saying, the book is just like, where is that again? Oh wait, it's not where it should be. What a mess.
I kind of wish they would have made two books. One book that has all the lore, and the other book that's just the rules of the game.
Yeah, even like the John Carter have like a slipcase where like both books slide into a fancy slipcase.
Yeah.
You know.
What do you call it? Numenera is like that.
Where one book's the lore and the other one's the mechanics.
Well, no, but they're just in a slipcase together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, you brought me on with that Cyberpunk game, and thank you. I had a blast.
Were you there for the first one?
Not for the very first one. Mia joined the first time Matt ran it, didn't he? Didn't you? Or I forget.
Well, I know Alan ran some, I think, before I joined.
Yeah.
Because like
a few. I know you were there every time Matt ran it.
Because like Thanksgiving and Homecoming, and I'm trying to remember what the various ones were.
Alan's, yeah. I'm pulling up the YouTube channel to look at the thumbnails and remember.
Okay. But part of me is happy that I actually went through it and asked Steve to do it, because if I didn't, then maybe Matt would have never found Cyberpunk.
That's true. Matt was crazy with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. The first session was you running it for me, Sarah, and Carolyn. The second session was special delivery with you running it for me, Matt, and Sarah.
Special delivery is great.
And then after that, Matt ran it.
Yeah, Matt took over.
Matt did Night City Probation, which was a two-parter, and I believe Mia, you were in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember pretty sure it was maybe I forget Alan. I was thinking that at one point we were all like piled into a car and driving out
Yeah,
on the highway.
that was when we were like trying to get a guy out of prison. I'm trying to
Yeah,
get a guy out of prison.
there was another one where there was the bus raid, that we had to do, and there was another one where going out into the desert, homecoming again, I think, and there was a thing in the middle of the desert, and the creatures came out, and then we went to the science facility and had to break in, and there was it all
Yeah.
kind of blends together.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does because we were playing the same characters in the same city, so it would. But yeah, so
Good
Mia,
times.
you gamed with us 2 sessions with Matt, which those two were technically Tales from the Backlog episodes, and then the rest of them we all played on Friday night.
Yeah, yeah.
But so you were here for Matt's first time, and then Alan took over for 5 episodes, which was Homecoming, and yeah, you were in the rest of them from then on. And
Homecoming was great.
Homecoming was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Valentine's Day, yeah.
Yeah, just one thing really sticks out in my head was like when we were doing the airship heist at basically the very end, and you're trying to get the cipher from that guy, and I was flying the helicopter and it got shot down, and I miraculously was able to like swing free of this crashing helicopter and land in the blown out cargo bay of the airship. So
That was a great scene. I loved that scene. Oh gosh,
But,
I'm gonna look through some
another-
thumbnails.
Another one that comes to me is, again, it wasn't officially a Backlog episode, but the one that Sarah ran, the Honey Heist.
Honey Heist with
I
Sarah.
had so much fun with that. There was a moment at the end where I do like a really cool thing where I'm like hanging off the getaway car, the getaway truck, as we're leaving the heist, and I'm just hanging onto it on the side. And I do a crazy trick where I just fly around the truck and get into the other side, and it was just the way that Sarah described it was just so funny and it was so cute.
like a Jackie Chan moment where he drags behind the shipping truck or whatever. Yeah, there's so many to like mine into. I think like another. God, my brain's like it's trying to access them all at once.
Yeah, that's why I have the list open right now. I'm looking through for something to mention. Heart of the Atom Issa in Hypertellurians, when you, Sarah, and Jason played together for the first time, I think. Just the three of you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you guys formed a crew, which we kept together for the next episode, Bride of Dracula. And I remember the Silver Sorceress. She was your villain, and her main power in the adventure, as written, was that she had the ability to crush men, and she could look at a man and dominate his will. But it only worked on humanoid male characters, and none of you played that.
Dang.
Right. It had 2 women and a
Giant spider.
giant spider.
It was just like you completely nerfed my villain right away. And then it was like someone I think Jason spent wonder points to shoot the crystal out of her staff, and
Yeah.
it just worked. And immediately the battle with the Silver Sorceress was over because she lost all her control over her minions, all the men she had crushed, and I was just like, she teleports away. But then you had her ship. You kept no, actually, it was your ship. She stole the drive core from it.
That was Hypertellurians, right?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that same episode we were doing we went to that city that was like big and tall, and we were up in like right before she lifted off and we went after her. We were in some shop and we were trying to bargain for some things, and the shop owner's like, "Hey, I'll take that ceramic mask off you." And of course I'm wearing like half a ceramic mask to cover up the facial paralysis, and I'm just like, go to hand it over, and the shopkeep, you, Steve, are just like, "Oh." And you see like how my face is deformed on that side, and you're like, "You can keep it."
Yeah. And I remember you reminded me now with that liftoff, you were trading that mask for a grappling gun so that you could get on the ship. And I remember you and Sue Startaker, which was Sarah's character, just ziplining up to this rocket ship as it's taking off. And the ship itself was, of course, the shell of one of these whatever they were called, these gigantostations, the gigantic crustaceans that were walking around. And the image of Sarcina and Sue just grapple gunning Batmaning up to a rocket ship as it leaves the atmosphere is going to be in my brain forever.
Yeah, we're like, oh, quick, close your bubble, the whoop, and get
Yeah.
the oxygen going.
And then Aqua-chan had to get on the ship and fly after.
Yeah, fly after, which was good. Speaking again, still on hypertellurians, that was one of my thoughts too. Is like the first hypertellurians, and this is kind of fun and shows my like naivete at the moment. You're like, hey, Mia, do you want to be a plant? And I'm like, are there sentient like plants in this game? And I was like, and I'm like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
I want you to be the villain, and we could like work behind the scenes to make this thing
like,
happen.
Really, I already built a character, Steve. It's just she's a human. I was like, no, not a plant. A plant.
Yeah, right. And then it kind of worked out because it really filled in for Sarcina as a character. It's like, oh well, shoot, if she's going to be the villain, let me come up with this crazy backstory to explain why she's a villain and why she's looking to kill the character she was after, which was Brian's character, I believe.
Right, but then like you were working with him again by the time we did Brutal Impairment and the Bag of Infinite Holding.
Yeah, because she had gotten arrested, and while in prison, they extracted the alien entity, like fungal life form that was controlling her brain.
I just remembered a really cool moment.
Hit me.
It was when we did Child the Demon Lord, and we were doing the expansion, the supplement. The map, yeah, Godless. We were doing Godless, which is a supplement to Shadow of the Demon Lord, and Steve's character did this amazing check towards the end, where he was trying to figure out how to use this alien device that he found in a cave.
Oh yeah,
and
I know what you're gonna say.
And he rolls the dice, and he gets like a critical, beyond comprehension kind of understanding. So I tell him that what he sees is a huge land of Earth that looks like it's like a one giant table, and you see
giants rolling rocks on a table.
Yeah, and you see a bunch of giants around this table rolling these huge rocks onto the table.
Yeah, I remember that. And you did it because like a couple scenes earlier, I'd already broken the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Because you had this insane, I don't remember if he was a hallucination or a demon or what, but you had this character being like, about how insane I was, and I'm like, I'm the sanest one here. You know, this is all a game, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're all characters in a game.
Yeah, yeah. So he started to break the illusion of the actual fabric of reality.
Yeah, and so then when I rolled like extra high insanity, that's the vision you gave me.
Yeah, he basically saw us playing a game.
Yeah.
Our fates and destiny are being decided randomly by dice. What?
Yeah.
But he couldn't understand it, so he didn't understand it was dice. It was just giant rocks hitting a table.
Yeah. Funny.
I'll tell you what I really remember, because I had only played with you a couple times at this point, right? We had done Scotty's game, and then you were in Hypertellurians, and I think the next Backlog episode you were in, Mia, was Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Yeah.
Because you weren't in Wander Home or Honey Heist, were you? I know you weren't in Tales from the Backlog. Blades in the Dark, I mean. But Dungeon Crawl Classics, Hole in the Sky, when we had yourself, Matt Groves, we had that guy Tony that we never met before or since, and Jen, all in the game. And Jen had to tap out after episode 1, and Tony wasn't there until episode 2. But between the 4 of you, we lost 18 player characters in the funnel.
Right.
Yeah.
I was so upset because like I had dropped 4, and I'm like, ooh, I really like Manuki, and then she just up and I ended up playing Delco, the halfling dickhead. Pardon my language, but the tailor guy.
Right.
It's like,
I do want to try out a Dungeon Crawl Classic one of these days.
Oh, it was so brutal because this idea is it's this funnel, and you're supposed to see whichever character lives is the one you're going to play. None of their characters lived.
Yeah, and Strax died. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that how every character. I have the resolution real low here, but
there's a mechanic like that in Shadow of the Demon Lord too.
Yeah, you can see how all the players have a list of names next to them because those are all the characters they're playing, and every one of them dies. And there's already gaps at this part I've scrolled to.
Because I like McGee and Strack so much. The Underkeeper, and she was like I don't know, she like made cloth or something. They became NPCs in my game for my players.
Well, I was later playing a. Okay, so what happened was you guys all died, but you actually succeeded the mission because one of Matt's guys, Sargento the Cheesemaker, made it all the way to the cage, unlocked the door, and rescued the prisoner, and then fell and died.
Dang.
But there was a D&D game that I ran for Matt and his wife. We actually started out. We never finished it, but we started out a Storm King's Thunder campaign for 5th edition, and Matt's character in that died, and so it was like his first real D&D character with a DM that he didn't hate, and it was just like,
wait, he had a DM that he hated?
I don't know. I don't know these details. I can't get into a war story about it, but
I'll ask him later.
well, not Matt Waltz, this guy. Matt Groves.
Okay, never mind. See, it happens to people.
It happens to people, but like I don't know the situation, but like he was really excited. Just something about our game was he felt like it was his first real D&D game. So
Nice.
But his character died in like session 4 or something, and I felt like I'd kicked a puppy. Like the look on this guy's face, I was like, he's like, oh, I did. He felt like he'd done something wrong playing the game, and so I was like, all right, he's got to get resurrected. Dean says it was me. Matt hated me. No, you don't know Matt Groves. But
wait, since Dean is here, I do want to mention, Dean, that I had a great time playing Alice is Missing at your place.
Oh, yeah.
Even though that wasn't streamed or we didn't record it, that was a great moment for me. And I wish we could do that on stream somehow in the future.
Yeah, so what I was going to say about Sargento, though, is when Matt Groves' D&D character died in our other game, I took it back to that storyline from Dungeon Crawl Classics, from Hole in the Sky, when the lady in blue and she's got the stone heads, and you're supposed to, the end of that, if any of your characters make it back, is they're supposed to spin the wheel of fate, and it's going to change their history, and they'll get like a new race, a new class, and it's all random, right? So I brought it back to Sargento, and I said he was saved and put at the wheel of fate, and he spun the wheel of fate, and he got your character, and now he's in D&D, and you're the same character with a new timeline now, and that's how I resurrected him.
Nice. Nice.
And nobody but me and him got the reference because our wives were not in that game, so they were like, what?
I don't know which game it was, but there was a game I played with you guys, and I think it was the first time I ever played with Jason, and I noticed that Jason is the kind of player, like, I'm always intimidated to play with that kind of player because I know he has a ton of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna try to play my best, and I hope I don't disappoint him. Because I remember there was some roll I did or some action I did, and I could swear I'd see his face, and he was just like, oh,
yes. Well, he reacts to things big sometimes. Yeah.
His grasp of the rules is nice because, like, with Tale of the Backlog, I feel like I really need to lean on you guys while I'm running stuff. And Jason's like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is how it works. And I'm just like, thank you.
Yeah, he absorbs the rule systems really quickly. It's very impressive.
Oh, wait, what was that game?
That was Golden Sky Stories. You were in that one.
Yeah, that's a game I want to play in the future. It looks cute.
That one was...
looks really cute.
I enjoyed that. I ended up... Lisa and I, Dungeon Matron and I, we played that at Mythic Con a while back. And this, I'm like, well, let's find a game to sign up for. And I'm looking over the list, and I'm like, oh, look, this game right here. And it was, nobody had signed up for it. And I'm like, oh, well, crap, And we go there, and there's this lovely young woman who's running this game, and she just had it. And her story was really wonderful and good. But I remember playing it on the Backlog and just loving the shit out of it. It's like, this is so awesome.
I remember you guys all loved it. I didn't connect with that one. Like, I remember it took me like 5-6 tries to pitch a character to Jason that he would even allow in the game. Something about that one, whatever the core fantasy is that you're trying to connect with, it didn't sync up with me. I didn't get it.
Let me run it again, Mia, in the future. I'll play with you.
Yeah, they are... Yeah, the basic gist for anyone listening that's not familiar with it, you play like these Japanese spirit animals. You're an animal who can become human
Dang,
and various states in
sounds
between.
like my jam.
And
Yeah.
you kind of hand back and forth like tokens of like, hey, wonderful job. Here's some tokens, and oh, you did a wonderful job. And you could spend those tokens to activate certain abilities. And
Yeah.
it was just really funny because I think the session was we were supposed to break into a school
Hmm.
to retrieve somebody's homework that they needed to get and finish so they'd have it ready for Monday. And we were breaking into the school with this kid, and like, yeah, it was good. It was good fun.
Yeah, and I remember I kept trying to build like the I was trying to be the heavy, like I tried to build like the intimidating dog looking character, and like it was just Jason kept being like, "No, you have to be an adorable child with a tail." And I don't want to be a little puppy. I want to be
Yeah,
a dog. But what
yeah, I was.
thing was I didn't get it. I don't know. But
Yeah, I was playing a.
It's like you're supposed to be cute.
yeah.
And I was playing a raccoon dog, which I forget the name that they use specifically for it in Japanese, but in Japanese culture, the raccoon dog is like just you can look it up online. I'm not going to go into it because there's a lot of like questionable artwork associated with the particular raccoon dog thing. And but playing that, it was a lot of fun because like my character had such a poor ability to maintain the disguise. We're talking these little kids, and like they said something that startled me, and like bloop, one of my ears popped up, and they're like, "What the hell?" Like, and I'm like, and the others are like, uh, uh, I'm like, "What? What's the problem?" Boop, another ear pops up. Like,
Raccoon dog
okay.
is what they call what we would call red pandas, right?
It's a species all to itself.
Yeah,
It
let's
looks
start
like a
there.
raccoon, but it's kind of big and lumbery like a dog. But in the Japanese cultures, it's called something specific. But there's a lot of just, because they're supposed to be like, they've kind of like put mythical powers on the raccoon dog in their culture that it's yeah, not nope. It turns up in video games and a bunch of stuff, but there's a lot of really not safe for work artwork associated with that.
Well, yeah. I've just been clicking through trying to figure out when was the first
Oh,
time
I played
Alan,
Stars on the Night?
yeah, when was the first time Alan was actually on Tales from the Backlog, and it was Stars Without Number.
I totally forgot.
Yeah, and
don't-
I
don't
remember you
that.
wanted to join us on this one because you had the book already.
Yeah,
And so it's the first one we did that you already had.
I had the new fresh re-release of the book.
Unfortunately, this episode is kind of science fiction, I think, because
Yeah,
at the time it was a hybrid game. It was one of our early hybrid games, and we just hadn't figured out how to do it right. So every time you speak, it's like doubled, and it's really obnoxious to listen.
yeah. That was a great little game, though. I mean, I think we ended up in space chasing somebody down, and
Yeah, it was great to play because we weren't getting that effect live when we were doing it, but later on to watch it back, it's like
of course those series. Sorry, Alan, go ahead.
No, I just said I wouldn't mind trying Stars again in the future because
Yeah, the that series of books. Since you guys are playing Worlds Without Numbers now on Shadows of Archonia main campaign, like Other Dust and like Silent Legion, which is kind of like their Call of Cthulhu rules, and of course Stars Without
I have
Numbers,
other
and
dust too at home.
so those are all great, great books. And of course, Steve, you let me run Other Dust on here as well, which was kind of fun.
see, what I'm looking for is when was Alan playing with Jason, because I think the only time might have been Wasted World. Easy D6.
Maybe. I just remember him putting his head back and be like, "Oh my god, what is this guy doing?" I'm just like, "I'm sorry."
Love Jason. I love the dude to death. And so he's a hard read sometimes. But yeah, good times. I enjoyed running Other Dust. I mean, being like an OSR sort of game, the resolution mechanic being 3d6 versus like the d20 instead or something like that. But
Sure.
yeah, those books are full of like they're great systems, and they've got a pretty good stack of lore in there. Just and and pretty cool.
I
So
was so heartbroken to find out that Godless was Robert Schwarb decided not to continue Godless because of some issue he had. Because he made another book called Apocalypse something, Post Apocalypse something, and he decided to continue that instead of Godless. I was like, man, yeah, like because I feel like it's hard to find the definitive Mad Max role playing game. Like, can you think of one, Mia?
flavor wise,
Like
because like I know Wasted World
Yeah,
has the
basically.
potential to do so much, and God, I love what Scotty's done with Easy D6 and Wasted
that's
World and the Book of
yeah,
Quest,
Yeah.
and even going back to like the North Road that he and DMG Garrett put together.
because in
They're just putting out awesome stuff, but
Yeah.
because in Gauntlet there's actually a road warrior class, and I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
yes,
The
thank you. And I was like,
I've read several different post-apocalyptic things, but I think the most flexible, again, going back to Wasted World, um,
mhm.
the one that actually flavors towards post like Mad Max, eh, not so much. I think it's hard to pin one down. You know.
Yeah, you know what I'd like to talk about for a second? Games that we left hanging. Because I'm flipping through these and I'm seeing a bunch of them. So the first one I can think of that,
Call them out.
yeah, call them out. Gonna call them out. The first
Call 'em
one I
out.
can think of is, it's not probably the first one that happened to, but Don't Rest Your Head. We did 2 or 3
Yes.
sessions of Don't Rest Your Head. We ended with your character, whose name I no longer remember, slowly turning into TikTok Man.
Yeah, because I picked up their weapon and my hand was like bloop, turned into the big pumped up like Mickey Mouse gloved hand. I'm like, holy shit.
You were busy turning into a TikTok man, and like it was this. You were gonna. I was like, all right, before we play again, I got to come up with a mechanic to try and give her a save, and then we had to end for the night, and between then and whenever we would have scheduled the next game, we stopped seeing Matt Groves,
Yeah.
and so that happened. We never continued that one. Another one that also involved Matt Groves, but was run by Jason, was our first game of Monster of the Week was going to be a two-parter, and we never finished that.
Dean says Morkboard I was in. Oops.
Yep, I was going to get to the Merkborg that Dean was in. It was the Dead City or something like that. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was me, Kenny, and Dean. I think were all the players, and Jason was running it. But that one, yeah, not Fight City. That's a whole other thing. The Lost City, yeah, and yeah, we never got that finished. What else? Which we still will, I think, get Death in Space finished.
That could go on and on.
Is that just ongoing? I kind of got the impression there was an end somewhere.
Well, I could develop it, because the name of the game is Death in Space, so I could make a thing where you guys literally all die.
Well, I mean, like a narrative ending, like a resolution to the story.
Yeah, it wasn't really my. Sorry, Alan, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. I think we did sort of left Godless open too because the characters did survive and they were just driving off into the desert, and it could still keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Death in Space, each time I try to end it where it could just lie there. That last session, you guys had weathered the storm, but there was a murder that happened in the facility, and that's kind of where we ended. Like the crazy doctor had gone missing, and you had a hook about the archaeological dig nearby that you really bit hard on, Steve, and I'm like, you can't go there, the storm.
Well, I loved playing Vermis. That's one of my favorite characters who was just obsessed with the void. And you were in that story, but you and Max both were only in the first of 3 episodes. And so, like, episode 2, Jason and I played by ourselves and just said your characters were still unconscious in the ship. And then Meredith joined us for the 3rd one. And I think we still said you guys were just unconscious in the ship. I don't remember. But there hasn't been a 4th one yet.
Yeah, because all those events were like, you guys escaped the space station that blew up, made a really terrible reentry. On the way down, Max and Alan's characters kind of got injured and
Yeah.
were like strapped in like their beds to protect them. You landed, repaired the ship, flew on to the next. So only about 24 hours had passed over the course of those 3 sessions, roughly.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
and
Oh, you know what else we never finished was the first time Wylock came and ran Neon Skies for us, where the last thing that happened was my character passed his awakening roll and became awakened. And Wylock offered right then, do you want me guys to just tell you what would have happened? And we all said, no, let's schedule a second session. Never happened.
Never happened.
Never was a
it may happen. It may. He seemed open to it this last time he was on.
Yeah. Well, that's why. That's one of the reasons I brought it up after a more recent session with him. I was like, "Hey, how about we do one where we all start as awakened?" Because
nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Well, he's on the East Coast, so that's.
Yeah, he's on the East Coast and he's got a job, and part of it also is he just doesn't use Discord very much. So if he's not actively checking because there's like a game like today, it's hard for me to get a hold of him.
Yeah, and I know Scotty is also on the East Coast time zone, but he works, odd hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he comes on, he's all like, "Let's go." I'm just like, okay, it's like 10:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30.
Pacific time, and by the end of the game, Scotty has more energy than me.
Right, and it's like I'm passing out, and I'm Central Time, and he's 3 hours ahead of you, and just one of mine. I'm like, dang, how do you do it, buddy?
Here's just a general question for both of you.
It's awesome.
Which Backlog game did you have the most fun running?
Running, okay. I have to think about that. I was actually going to say that if you were going to say playing, I might have said Vieja Escuela, but
thank you, Steve.
you are welcome. It's a great game, and you run it well. And the music you picked for it, which I still use today, by the way, is great too. But running, which one did I have the most fun running? Into the Odd is a strong contender. DCC is
I
a
would
strong
definitely love
contender.
to do Into the Odd again.
I feel like Dungeon Crawl Classics is the game I like more than anyone else in our community because I'm always wanting to run it. I've had to cancel it. I've had to cancel scheduled sessions of it several times because of lack of players. Yeah, and when I did run it, you guys all died and hated it.
Well, I wouldn't mind playing it again. You killed me in the Warp Shell, the Hankrin Fresnel Warp Shell game. You killed me, and I had to quickly make another game. I don't mind dying. It's just...
You know what? I will tell you which session I had the most fun running. Not necessarily the game overall the most fun, but the single session I had the most fun running. A Bride for Dracula in Hypertellurians.
Oh, that was weird. That was a weird session.
It
was good.
That night with the character voices, and I was having a blast.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Having Sarah and I it was just trying to become the Bride of Dracula. It was a weird role play.
Yeah, like you guys both trying to get Dracula to pick you.
Until it got to the point where Sarsinia's like, well, fuck this business. Yeah. Kill him.
Everybody dies.
She was reformed in prison when they took the alien parasite out of her, but she still had that sadistic side. Yeah. I would say my favorite for running would be Vieja Escuela Pulp because it just opens you up to a lot of opportunities, and you guys just go with it,
Yeah. It's
like today with the monkeys.
We all snap right into. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a good system. I like it.
The first 4 were a lot of fun. I know, Steve, you and I did some back and forth on Discord chat to set up Apollo's background.
Yeah, that was great.
And how you went to the masquerade ball, but I remember Apollo was wearing Speedo trunks or something.
I went naked. Yeah, I went as a performance. I went as their performer who was there to just do strongman bits for the party, and I was basically a giant distraction. Yeah,
totally. And one of my favorite parts in that was you were in the library, and it came out that Meredith's character's friend that she had met and came across the Atlantic from England with turns out to be the villain, and she's, spoilers for everybody. She's taken this elixir that slows her aging, and her henchmen are coming at you, and you're like, can I pick one of them up and like use them as a projectile weapon or something? I forget what exactly you said, but like, yeah, go right ahead. So you hoisted the dude up like pro wrestling style and just wonk.
Yeah, I just threw a guy at another guy. I got an expression I picked up from Lizzie, actually, our friend Lizzie, who's never been on the show, but Ellen knows her. Hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. That was, and like later you ended up using the guard dog that you like recruited at the Paris.
That's right. I did guard
show.
dog, and I remembered I was thinking about that today, right? Because
Rufus, I think, is
game. Cindy played Manya in that game.
Yeah.
And Apollo wanted to save the dogs. Apollo was, he's from the circus. He's like, we don't hurt animals. Animals are our friends. You just have to train them right. But Manya was like, it's a guard dog. We kill it. It's coming for us. But then today she was playing Maria, Manya's sister, and and she was the most opposed to killing the dog. And I don't know if Cindy connected those events, but I thought it was very funny.
Could be. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. She and that session, you guys were in the Paris, the French monkey wrench episode, and the bad guy. There was like one bad guy left who was getting away, and she was like a car and a half away, and the doors were closed, and she rolled such a high roll. She, using her sniper rifle, shot this guy off the back of the train from like a car and a half up front. So she had to shoot through like 3 closed doors. Through the little portal that you would look through between railroad cars.
Yeah, so, I remember that. Yeah. And then I started throwing the dog at people.
Yeah.
I don't know, you just allowed this and it's great, but he just became my dog.
I was going to say, I got one more question for you guys.
Yeah, hit it.
So it says 117 episodes, right?
Yes.
Out of all these 117 episodes, which system you think was a complete dud?
Mistborn Adventures? Yes.
I did not participate in that one. This is probably going to come across and be like a bad take, but like the apocalypse system for Monsters of the Week, if it just didn't gel with me real well. I just need to revisit it, but like I was just like, I'm not really enjoying this. I enjoyed it. The story was great, but I didn't like the way that the character mechanic worked.
What system you mean?
We played Monster of the Week.
Okay.
So, and we went to a church, and there was like a woman and the graveyard and the freak out.
That was the one I ran. That was Guardian.
The story was, the story was great, but the mechanics of the system, I
didn't run it well. I didn't connect with the mechanics well enough in advance of that.
That may be it. Yeah,
I was one of a few actually that I would like to give another shake to. And in the case of Monster of the Week, it would be its third shake because Jason ran it once and we just never finished. And then I ran it once and I just wasn't in the zone mechanically that night. So I was running things wrong and just making it up as I went. That's one. And then Shadowrun 5e is another one. My goal with the show is really to give these systems a chance and find out what people like about them, Yeah. And those are 2 examples, especially Shadowrun, where I felt like the problem was me and not the system.
Because that's a big, thick system.
I had signed up to participate, but could not for some reason. I forget what, but I couldn't even get through character creation with that. I was like, what in the hell am I trying to figure out here?
Yeah, and it's a brutal, heavy, crunchy system, but a lot of people like it. Yeah. So it's like, there must be something here, and I don't accept that I'm just incapable of finding it. Like, I just need another chance, maybe a little more time with the book,
it's probably a really great game to play, but it's going to be the only game you play.
Yes.
Because you need all your focus and all your time to figure out the rules and all this stuff.
Well, one thing
Yeah.
that's true about the backlog is we definitely have developed a pattern of leaning hard towards rules light systems.
Yes.
Because we only have a week to learn it, and realistically for me it's just 2 days, right? Because every Monday to Friday I'm thinking about Friday's game, and then Friday to Monday I'm thinking about Monday's game. So
That's why
Yeah, I think
Hypertolorians and
Easy D6,
and
Merc
EZ6 are so
Borg,
popular because you can just roll up a character real quick.
yeah.
yeah, just about every one of them that I actually did end up participating in were all good. I enjoyed them all. I struggle sometimes with the character creation, thus Shadowrun just being a real
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like Monsters of the Week, I can see its potential, but I just was not feeling it. And I have a book called Noir. I think it's called Noir World, which used the same apocalypse engine.
Yeah.
And reading through that, I'm like, it started to click reading through that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Apocalypse World. Jason ran once, not on the channel, way back. For me and a couple of his other friends, Jason ran it, and I was really loving it. And unfortunately, that campaign never finished. But I know the system works. If the guy running it knows how it works. And,
Yeah.
because I really liked that game. But Monster of the Week, I felt there was a lot of dragging because my head just wasn't there. And I think there were also some weird tech things that night, and I wasn't totally on top of either.
Yeah, the kids on the, just kind of standout games. Kids on Brooms, I really enjoyed.
Yes.
Um,
Almost any time
course, I-
Edward's in a game, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
He's a great role player.
so there's like hardly any that I would even want to say anything negative about. Changeling, I enjoyed that, but again, leaning towards the rules light anymore. So
Changeling's pretty heavy, yeah.
Out of all these, which would be the one you would want to play again the most?
I say,
If you could just clear the schedule and just be like, I want to play this one next time.
okay, do you mean a one-shot or a campaign?
Let's say campaign, because you've done a one shot before. So
I would love a campaign in Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I would love a one-shot in any of the Merc Borg derivatives.
yeah, that's tough for me to say. I wouldn't mind playing a campaign in Dungeon Crawl Classics. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
As someone who would run a game, I would just want to dig my teeth deep in the Mouse Ritter. I know it is like super lightweight game, but yeah, I see some fun.
Let me show
Some fun
you
potential with
what
that.
it looks like.
It's as rules light as you can almost get.
Yeah, that was one. There was a brief period of time after Matt and Kenny stopped signing up for games, and before Meredith started, there was a brief period of time where the whole show was me, you, and Jason almost every week, and this Mouse Ritter was in that slot.
Oh, it's another cozy game.
Yeah, but it's more adventure-y. You get to stab people in it.
Yeah, I like Mouse Guard. Like if you've read like the graphic novel stories of that, and even Mouse Guard's got its own like RPG system.
Yeah.
But like Mouse Ritter would be that same sort of thing. You are basically guards, or like basically guards. You're protecting the community, protecting caravans that travel between communities, and so on and so forth. Dealing with cats and owls and snakes and rats.
To give you a compliment here, Mia, I brought up Mouse Ritter to show it to Alan, and I was scrolling through the video to try and find the map, and it's not there. There's no map in this game. But I was so sure visually in my head of the space that I just assumed we'd had a map. But I guess you just brought it to life for us so much that I didn't need one. So well done.
Oh, well, thank you. There is a map in the book, and I basically reproduced that map in, drop a name here, Incarnate. I basically reproduced it for better viewing and in color and stuff. And I don't know if I ever shared that with you guys or not.
Yeah, it didn't make it to the stream.
So that would be your pick for a campaign, Mia. But what about for another one shot?
Gosh, uh, you know, that's I don't know. It's tough to say.
That's a
I
tough
it, I like the Borgs are always nice. Of course, with Pirate Borg, I'm all in. If you guys just want to keep doing that, like do a session of that every couple weeks or every couple months,
Yeah.
would love to keep that going. But like a one shot, I don't know. Kids on Brooms would be kind of a fun thing to be in a one shot again for.
one.
I liked Borg or Bork Borg when we played as dogs. That
Oh,
was
were you
like
in that? I thought you weren't.
that was. Oh yeah, I played like I think I was playing like a French bulldog named like Jasmine or something like that, and she was the smallest of the crew. And I just remember you, Steve, your dog just walking around with a tree limb basically, and your dog's the whole time practically. And then you lost it, and you found a bigger one in the trash chute, and you went after it. It was,
Honestly, the
uh,
only thing I remember about that game was Kenny's dog dying in the first half.
Dang.
And just being, just all of us just being devastated because it's like, it's Merkborg. Like, people are just going to drop like flies, but this time it's dogs, and you don't want the dogs to die. But then Kenny rolled up a new dog for the second half. And of course, we're all dogs, so we're like, yeah, you're in. You're packed now.
yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I sniff you. Okay, because he was one of the prisoners that was being held, and we freed him, and yeah, that was
I would love to give Shadowrun a shot, but as a campaign because
Shadowrun as a campaign?
no, Shadow the Demon Lord.
Oh, yeah, actually, I
Yeah.
was going to say that. I
'Cause-
said DCC as a GM, but as a player, I would want to do a campaign in Shadow of the Demon.
Yeah, because I don't think Shadow the Demon Lord. It's not really the best one-shot system, but as a full-on campaign, I think it would be great.
Yeah.
Because it's only 10 levels.
yeah, that book is amazing. The system is really interesting, and the way the character sheets laid out, I mean, it's just so well put together.
That's the only one I would want to give a really fair shot.
Yeah.
Shadow the Demon Lord, full campaign, and for one shots, definitely Cthulhu. Cthulhu
Yeah.
all the way.
And I really liked Godless to the point where I'm actually a little disappointed that you're talking about Cthulhu so much now because I want to go back to Godless instead. But I would like to do Vanilla Shadow of the Demon Lord even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
vehicles in Vanilla Shadow Demon Lord too. so,
Yeah.
so
I just
The
remember my eyes exploding, and it was
Yeah.
just the best thing that ever happened.
oh, awful. But Steve, I with Don't Rest Your Head, you did such a fabulous job of that. Like, you're on an airplane and you open the door and it exits into I mean, the whole like convoluted, crazy city we lived in. Like, oh, you pass through the door and you're in it. Yeah, it was very immersive.
I
And
appreciate that. Yeah, I really like that system, and the system's fine, right? It's kind of a regular dice pool system. It's a little more complicated than some dice pool systems, but what gets me is the setting because I'm such a big fan of Neil Gaiman, and Neverwhere is such a unique tone, and I feel like for me, Don't Rest Your Head is the only other thing I can think of that hits that tone exactly.
plus you have like one of the only hard copies.
Yeah, well, it's out of print. I
Yeah.
definitely am one of the surviving hard copies.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were watching this part yesterday, Mia, when Alan and I were doing the book reviews, but there's a
Yeah.
supplement, Don't Lose Your Mind,
Don't
that
Lose
I
Your Mind.
have, and I bought just to not miss my opportunity to buy it.
Yeah.
And I'd never opened it before until I did it on camera.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
I
that
was watching
It's
that.
funny because
The up-
the pages are like upside down.
Yeah.
upside down text and all that. It was like, dang, that would drive me crazy.
So I'm now mad I didn't open it sooner, man. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
It was cool for the stream.
We played that Mall Kids, which again, a GM-less session. We just kind of ran out of time to really give it some of its like justice.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a lot of fun between the three of us, just going back and forth. And
I think especially you, me, and Jason we have hit the point where our role play is better because it's us together. Like we have played together enough that we can just go off now.
and that game is like almost 100%. Like, Mia, do you want to be the bus driver? Like,
Yeah.
no, I want to be a little old lady at the bus stop. Just you got to play like 5 characters over the course of that game. Your player character and several NPCs.
Yeah.
improv exercise.
That's definitely, yeah, and that is a fun thing about GM-less systems is everyone gets to run the NPCs. I'm just looking at what's coming up for Tales from the Backlog. So after ArchoniaFest, on Monday we do OSR Plus 2 and 3, which, by the way, technically this Monday's OSR Plus episode was originally scheduled as a regular Tales from the Backlog episode before I even thought up ArchoniaFest. So that's why there's going to be 2 more sessions of it the next couple of weeks. That game was so good. The GM and creator, Daniel Quinn, he ran such a great game. He was telling such a great story. We were using a VTT called Owlbear, which, I mean, it's just a regular VTT, but I've never seen it before. It definitely had a nicer feel than Roll20, in my opinion. But then after OSR Plus, we finally finish out your Pyrrhic story. And then we finally get into Dungeon Remastered, which Jason's been trying to run for 6 months, I think.
Yeah.
And then at long last, in May, 3 sessions of Crown and Skull.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Look forward to that. And you think you'll be done with Pirate Borg.
Well, you told me you wanted 2 sessions.
Yep, that's good.
We can bring it.
Always leave it open, you know.
I definitely want to do more Cthulhu one-shots in the future.
Yeah.
Because I can tell that
Cindy and Patty
and Mia want to play.
Yeah.
And I know you're upset about Godless, but I do want to do regular vanilla Shadow.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the future. But a full campaign.
I don't think we've said this publicly. I'm still pushing for that Godless story we were doing to turn out to be in Archonia, just on the other side of the planet from where Midlight City is. Yeah. I think that would be awesome.
just in the desert, really far away.
Really far away from Midlight City.
In the salt.
Yeah. But the one negative thing about the backlog, Tales from the Backlog, is we're never fast enough with these games, scheduling wise, because we only get 1 a week. Brandish dropped Crown and Skull last month, and we don't get to play it till May just because the schedule was already full. And there's a pros and cons thing here where we used to almost always do one-shots, right? Everything was one-shots. We were learning a new system every week. And I think most or all of us were pretty agreed that we should start moving more towards 2 and 3 episode games.
Yeah.
Because you get more time to explore the system. Mm-hmm. Your brain gets a rest from learning a new game every single week.
Yeah.
But then the downside of that is if you're gonna always do 2 to 3 sessions of a game, and then you find a new one you want to put on the schedule, it's now months out before you get to it.
It pushes so far out. But 2 sessions seems optimum, I think, going forward. For my sake, I was like, it would be great.
Yeah.
1 or 2, depending on. But it's been great fun. I just, it's
a nice problem to have that you have so many games to play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering now, and this has crossed my mind before as a problem, but I'm just now wondering about a solution. If I should program into our routine some sort of ripcord system where it's like, this is not the game that's on the schedule, but the Kickstarter reward just got here. And if we play it right now, it's going to get 2,000 views in the first day.
Yeah.
Like that's what, because really Crown and Skull, I should have run it a month ago. Right?
Yeah.
That's a good. You're the producer, man. Your call. I'm down for that.
That's why that Cyberpunk episode is so high.
I hesitate to disappoint people. One thing I said to Alan and the gang right when we first started Shadows of Archonia was, I will never put the show above the game. But that doesn't mean I will never think about the show at all.
I would completely understand, especially if it's something really, really could help the channel.
Yeah, that's what I think. Because, like we said earlier, our highest rated videos are the ones that you run when you just got the Kickstarter backer reward.
Yeah, you gotta strike when the iron is hot.
Yeah,
like with that Cyberpunk, with that one. That's why
Mothership.
When that Cats of Cthulhu comes out, I'm gonna tell you, it's coming out this day. That's when it's coming out. If I could run it the week right after or the week it comes in, that'll be great.
Well, this is something we talk about with everyone involved, obviously. But yeah, like I feel like, and I don't know if this is just coincidence. I don't even know if it's a real thing. If I were to sit and look at the numbers, I feel like Jason's games always turn out to be the ones that get delayed because no one signs up for them or everybody gets sick or something. So I feel bad for Jason, but he brings all these games. He's so plugged into what's coming out. And then half the time we don't get to play them. So I would hate to bump him because something just came out, you know?
Well,
yeah.
Talk to him about it.
I will. Yeah, I will talk to him about it. I just had that idea right now. I don't know how viable it is, but yeah.
I do want to play the Crown game.
Okay. I gotta really deep dive that. I've thumbed through it and checked, did a skim through. I'm like, oh, this has got some really, really interesting stuff in it. So, of course, it's Brandon, so it's like, a Tankrin for now. It's gonna be good. I mean, everything I've read of his is just great.
And I love the way he weaves narrative fiction into the game book.
Yeah. And you mentioned, was it Chronicles of Mud? I had that, and I read like half of it. I need to go back to it.
Oh, it's actually sitting right here. I haven't actually read it yet. Oh, it's over there. I haven't actually read it yet.
But yeah, that was one of the reasons why I had a hard time with Godless, is because that system really shines after you level up a couple times.
Yeah.
Because that's when you unlock the really strong spells, the really strong skills.
But there's something really fun to me about a brutal system like that, where like I kind of like that I lost a character in it. It's like I'm glad that the danger is real. You know.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
You can tell that's the kind of systems I love the most. Systems that give you a sense of urgency and a sense of stakes.
Yeah.
Stakes. Yeah.
Speaking of stakes. Good job with those dogs earlier.
Thank you for the retcon, by the way. I'm just like, bang!
Well, kind of like, well, she flings the stakes, and you're like, oh, wait, there are some left. Yeah, let's back that up.
I thought she'd thrown all the stakes, but no, that makes sense.
When's this interview with Runehammer?
About half an hour, 5 o'clock.
Oh, it's
5 o'clock our time.
About 25 minutes, yeah.
I am gonna want maybe 5 or 10 minutes just to send him the Google Meets link and get him set up like we're set up here, and go. Do you want to talk to him with me, or do you want to go do something else?
Oh, what game does he have?
He wrote Crown and Skull, Index Card RPG, Viking Death Squad. He's done some like crafting videos, and he's just kind of a personality.
Sure.
He's out there with
I might sit in.
He's an accomplished artist and illustrator. He worked in the video game industry for a long time. I mean, he's just really just amazing. ICRPG being like the big thing that he put out, and like is huge community around that. Huge.
And I've been listening recently. He's been releasing some podcasts that he originally did a couple years ago for his Patreon subscribers.
Those are so good.
I'm not really even a podcast guy. I don't really listen to podcasts, but his are so interesting that I've listened to a couple of them all the way through now.
Yeah, the some of his other videos, like on YouTube, where he just sits down and is like drawing. Some of those are like hours long, and where he's just like rambling to the camera while he draws. It's like walking into a mine and going, wow, what am I holy shit, there's this vein of gold, and oh, there's a whole thing of diamonds over here. You're just like, just keep talking, Brandon, keep talking.
I described him as like a tornado of creativity. It just seems like there's always something coming out of his mouth, and for evidence of that, of just like he's so driven to just go and get things done, and he makes it up and then does it. Unlike me, who I make it up and then never do it, or some people who never think but then do things anyway. But when I was collecting the welcome videos from all of our people, guests and cast included, where people are all saying, "I'm such and such, welcome to ArchoniaFest 2024." Every single person said, yeah, I'll get that to you as soon as I can, or didn't answer me at all. Brandish Gilhelm shot it, pulled his phone out, shot it on his phone, sent it to me in the same conversation where I asked him for it. It was like,
Nice.
we weren't done talking yet, and I already had the video from him. I was like,
Nice.
oh, all right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, and him working with Scotty to get Easy D6 launched. I mean, talk about two talents coming together. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. When I heard he was publishing Easy D6, I was like, oh, well, that book's going to be awesome.
Maybe
Yeah.
next time we do the fest, we can get one of the Call of Cthulhu writers to talk to, because
Oh, that would be great.
Because the one guy, I'm forgetting his name right now. He's like
Sandy Peterson,
yeah,
like the main
yes,
creator.
I would love to talk to that guy, because
Drop a name. Carl Make Stuff interviewed him a couple months ago. It was really interesting to listen to.
the way he describes horror is so cool. Like how he talks about how to make horror scary in a role-playing game, and he's
another
a really cool guy.
Another prolific writer, like the hero system, Stephen Long cranking out, the hero system, or just like, I guess, like the Illuminaries, like Hank Wren and Peterson and Scotty, and these guys are just putting it out there and just hitting home runs like every time.
Sandy Peterson,
Kevin Crawford for the
number. I would love to talk to Schwab, but I think that guy's very busy.
Yeah. Well, I invited Kevin Crawford to appear in ArchoniaFest, and I knew he'd say no because he's never done a public appearance, and he doesn't have social media accounts.
But he did answer you back.
He did answer me back. He responded to my email. He was very polite. He said, no, thank you. I have a policy against it. And, I was very lucky. Almost everyone I asked said no, or said yes, and he's the only no I got. Two other people said maybe, but I might not, and then they didn't make it. And then two other people just didn't answer me at all. Kevin Crawford's the only one that took the time to give me a no. So that's very cool of him.
Plus, I would like to do a full campaign of Shadow before I even talk to Schwab, because he would be kind of. I think he's the kind of guy who would be upset. Like, why are you even talking to me? Play my game first. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
okay. But yeah, congratulations, Steve and Mia, for doing so many Backlog episodes. 117 episodes.
Yep.
That's the extra change that was there beforehand. That's
and Steve,
that's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, and Steve, you recently totaled those up, and like, I ran this many and you ran this many, and I'm just like, really?
It's something I don't think I've said yet that I was kind of aware of as it was happening, but it didn't fully hit me until I was making all these thumbnails. Like I said, out of 117 of these, I've run 54 of them.
Wow.
And those 54 are heavily weighted towards the beginning of the series. This year, if you just looking at the thumbnails here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have to go, and I know there's one of Max that I haven't put in yet. You got to go back 8 episodes before you find my face on a thumbnail. And then that's the Vaesen game that I ran, which was 2 episodes. And then before that, it's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 episodes before you find me again. So thank you to you, Mia, and Jason, and Max and there's you running Cthulhu for 3 episodes, for taking over the GM seat so much recently. Because for a long time, I'm the only person that's in every episode of both shows. And that's fine. They were my idea. But it does get a little exhausting when I'm also GMing both of them. It
does feel nice to come to a session as a player, because you don't really have to set up as much as a GM.
And especially when I'm, since I'm the one running the tech as well, it's nice to just listen sometimes.
It's my pleasure to play and to run games. I get a little freaky and stressed about running, but I love sitting in the game master's seat. I mean, it just.
But that's. I was just.
And I just feel like,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mia. Sorry.
I apologize. The opportunity to do it so frequently now is nice, and I do appreciate that because I just feel like the more you do something, the better you get at it, and just my streamlining my session writing and everything else, is getting
It's
better.
really a nice thing because there's this term in the hobby community called the wall of shame, which is either books or figures or whatever that you never paint or you never play.
read, you never get to. Yeah.
And it's just your wall of shame. It's just stuff you never play. It's just sitting there.
Yeah, I got books right here I haven't read. Actually, no, I don't.
I've got that same Conan. I've got the same edition of that Conan I see behind you there. Like, I remember, and it's funny, it's like the only reason I bought it or was even aware of it was Hank Fresnel was talking about it on his channel, and he's like, check this out. Yeah, he was talking specifically about the Conan one because, like, let's do a deep dive in reading material, and like he's like, this book here, and I'm like, oh, so I ordered it.
Yeah,
I've got a crap ton of paperbacks from back in the day, like the 80s, of all the Conan stuff, but like one solid Robert E. Howard volume was like, yeah, I gotta have that.
Yeah, this is Golance is the publisher, and they did this several years back. The Conan one was the first one I got too. But then later I was at the bookstore and I saw the Necronomicon, the Lovecraft one. And then I went on a hunt because I was like, they're publishing like a set of these things. And unfortunately, these 6 are all they ever made. And they are, this is Tarzan, 5 Tarzan novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs, Tarzan and Other Tales. There's Conan, that's all of the Conan stories. And then Conan's Brethren, which is other stories about other heroes.
Like Paul the Conqueror and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And then 2 Lovecraft books, Eldritch Tales and the Necronomicon. And then the last one here is Leoness by Jack Vance, which collects those novels. Nice. And I'm like, dude, there's so many more, even from some of these authors. You could get more of these books. I actually couldn't find any more. I found the Golance Facebook page and messaged them. I'm like, hey, are there more of these that I can't find? And if not, when are more coming? And they were like, hey, you got them all, bud. Sorry. I was like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I like to buy those kind of like complete volumes. And I do have some by other publishers. So they do fill up a nice chunk of my shelf. So, but I did recently buy like the complete collection of Calvin and Hobbes. It's like I want to say 3-volume slipcase. And it weighs like 30 freaking pounds.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
yeah, I just wanted to reiterate, it's great that you guys actually have a way to play these games every week, because a lot of people, the only time they can actually play their games is either at convention or if they somehow haggle people to play online.
Yeah.
In like strangers and stuff like that.
Well, so. I'm glad. I mean, Mia and I were nearly strangers when we started Backlog. The Friday group already came together, and it was COVID times, and I knew I could get people on Monday, but I also knew it probably wouldn't be the same people I was gaming with on Friday, because the whole reason we were on Friday was because that's when everyone's schedule permitted.
Yeah.
So I started it up, and at the time we had just recently played that game with Scotty for the same reason. It was COVID times. Scotty wanted to run some games for his patrons because he knew everyone was stuck in the house. And that's where I met Mia. That's where I met Brian Crenshaw. I actually invited that whole group. Originally, the Hyper Tellurians game that we ran, that first one, I was intending for Jen and Perry and Scotty to be in it as well. But they all had to cancel or never agreed to do it in the first place, one of the two. And ended up filling their spots with Jason and... was it just you, Jason, and Brian? Was that...
I think so, yeah. It was just the 3 of us, and yeah, that was... I remember, yeah, I met you and Brian on that. It was like a 3-session little thing that Scotty ran. And yeah.
Yeah, and so it was very new. Jason, I knew in high school, but not well. And Sarah and I had gamed with him a bunch online before Backlog. And then, of course, me and Brian I had known barely at all at the time. Brian did join my writers group, but I don't remember if it was before or after that.
when you reached out to me, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah.
This has been like one of the best experiences of my life, honestly, because it's just an ongoing thing that taps into one of my all-time favorite hobbies, um,
Yeah.
and
I
fuels
agree
the
with
career.
that. Yeah,
You
and
know.
where I was going with all that is, it is great that we have people we know that we know the game with every week, but we know each other because we game every week, and so that is also great. And you know the story we just told highlights that there also wouldn't be any Tales from the Backlog without DM Scotty, because I didn't invite you guys to play for any reason other than what a blast I had playing with you when Scotty ran that patron game.
He's the linchpin of our community.
He is. He is. Yeah.
I mean, because number one, it's like the interest for me grew back into the hobby when I discovered his YouTube channel. I just going crafting crazy, and then I got some players together, and it was just like, oh yeah, and just really getting back into the hobby in a big way after discovering Scotty's channel. And then, of course, yep,
Yeah.
it is what it is now.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
thank you, DM Scotty.
Thank you, Scotty.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know, it's about 10 to 5.
I
I'd like
better
to
go.
go
Let
ahead
you
and
go.
take a break now. I'll contact Brandish and settle in for the big interview.
I may actually start trying to prep the map for Call of Cthulhu.
Oh, please do.
So,
Yeah.
so
All right. Well, sweet gentlemen, thank you so much for playing earlier and having me on now for this
Yeah.
little
Thank you,
retrospective.
man.
And I
Absolutely.
will
Thank you,
see you
man.
all another time
Yes. Talk to you later.
tomorrow, tonight.
Oh, yeah.